Hello, hello, and welcome to the pregame show. And I would say that, based on the notification that I just got, I would say that we are on the air. Hi everyone, MJ here. It's been quite a while. Oh wow, look at this. Cops are over there. I wonder what's going on. Looking at something. Wow, they got their lights, their flashlights out and stuff. Oh well. Just know they're not looking for me. No big deal. Patty, how are you? Long time no see. Yeah, I'm doing well. Fist bump, thank you. Yeah, I just haven't been on for a while. You know, this is excuse me. Not feeling so great sometimes. That's my fault. But yeah, I had a Matthew fist bump. Good to see you. I had a couple issues. I had a subdermal cyst in my back, and it was huge. You know, it looked like about the size of an eyeball. And it took me a while to get over that. I had to take a bunch of antibiotics and stuff. Actually, I think I need to go back and see him for a follow-up, though. I think they got to finish cutting it out. Huh. But yeah, I've been going back to the gym and trying. Yeah, it has been a long time, and I'm gonna tell why I haven't been on. Pretty much, I don't know how to say this. See, no, it's good. I got accused of being a coward. Of course, it was on Reddit, so who cares? By some English teacher in Taiwan, because I'm politically neutral. I don't take sides. And they called me a coward. They say being neutral and nonpartisan is cowardly. Want to bet? Yeah. I went to the school where my daughter goes and had the talk with the teachers about their curriculum. Let me just say that. Anyway, when I went to the States, it was in the summer last year, guys remember, July, right? And I couldn't believe how politically charged things were then, but I mean, there's just so it's out of control now. It's crazy. And I know situations where people who have like lost, hey, Dave, fist bump. Yeah, the whole crowd's in here. Great to see you. Thank you. I know people that have been friends for 40 years that are now not friends because of the outcome of a political, like an election. That's stupid. When I was a kid, things were way different, of course, but we were taught in school that certain things should remain secret in our personal, like a person's political, viewpoints and who they voted for. So you would never ask anybody in the old days who you voted for, but understand now it's very common. And anyway, when I came back from the States, I live streamed, I think it was 3 times. And Dave's in here now. Dave is the one that actually said to me, on this past Sunday, I was out with David. David's been my acting assistant. And I have been playing a lot. You'll see the thumbnail. That's my new guitar. I'll talk about that in a minute. I got to show it to you. I don't have it with me because it's pretty cold. If it was a warm evening, I would have it here tonight. But David reminded me that I haven't actually been on in 5 months. I was like, wow, okay. So tonight's Thursday, which is the night it's the night of the week that I usually streamed on back before, right? So this is great because it's like the old crowd is here. Now tonight I'm drinking a thing called Cocoa Plus, and it is coconut water with, believe it or not, lychee juice and Himalayan salt, believe it or not, and it is one heck of a combination. But anyway, we've got the thumbnail. It's me playing guitar with my hat on, obviously, at a Filipino club north of here in Zhongli. And the cool thing is, today is the 20th, which means I got the guitar November 20th. So November, December, January, February, right? Am I counting that right? Yeah, it is. It's great to see everybody, all the lurkers. That's a good way of putting it. So that's right, November, December, January, February. It's 3 months that I've had my guitar, Rosaline, and boy, I got to tell you, I'm really, really getting used to playing it, and it is phenomenal. It sounds unbelievable. Just doing so well playing it. I've completely revamped my amplification system now. I'm running 500 watts stereo. It is. It really is a natural way. Now, I just got to say this. I ate something tonight that gave me a little gastrointestinal distress, and I've been running to the men's room. Okay, I don't need to say any more. But if I have to abruptly end the live stream, you can use your imagination. Now, I'm removing my glasses in order to perform the following function. You guys know I'm the, let me turn this off because this is the, that's the face tracking. I am the LED glasses king. When I turn these on, you're going to see the battery level, and then you're going to see it load up. And this is a, thank you, Patty. This is my scanning for life forms algorithm here. This thing is amazing. Now it works on an app, and of course I'm using the phone right now to monitor the live stream, but I can just press this button and cycle through these. Some of these are pretty interesting. This is like a pulse, you know, life form acquired, you know, and some of these are really, really interesting. And I think they show up okay on the camera. This is like bubbles. And this one just kind of goes back and forth, you know. I mean, the one thing they don't have is the Cylon, which is weird. Some of them you can see are kind of dumb. But they don't have the Cylon, which is just, you know, some of them, like I said, are kind of dumb. But this is the closest thing to the Cylon. It's just kind of weird, and it kind of blows up, right? And this, I don't know. This one's okay. This one's pretty cool. I like this one. This is like a, you know, you turn your head to the side and so forth. Now, what there is on the app, it looks pretty amazing. I know it looks really interesting on the live stream. You know, the camera's picking it up. We're in the dark here. But the thing is I was using this live. I was playing guitar with this thing, right? And I put the name, because with the app you can scroll like words on it. So I put the name of the song I was playing on it, you know. So if I have, well, yeah, it does, because I'm looking through a tiny little set. First of all, Patty, it's a good question. I have to take my regular glasses off. So right there, my vision is a little bit impaired. But I mean, there is a row of dots. There's holes through it, you know. I'm looking between the LEDs. So the LEDs are shining kind of in my eyes. But the cool part about it is that this is all open down here. So like, I can just see the phone, no problem, right? And when I'm playing guitar, I can see my hands. I don't have to, you know, so. But it was cool because I was using this. And there's one, they kind of miss it though, because the app has a like a sound actuated setting where it does like a, you know, like a VU meter, right? Of course, I can't activate it from this, and it uses the microphone and the phone. But even playing, like these guys play like 110, 115 dB. I mean, it's like ridiculously loud, right? I'm wearing earplugs, and I put the phone down, you know, in front of the, like the drum kit, and the VU meters are just barely working. So I don't know what's going on. So anyway, some people came by and they're watching me do this. I like this one. This one's cool too. So I wonder what the people think who's walking by and checking this out. So some of these, I think this one looks cool. This looks like a like some kind of a scanning beam, you know. And yeah, it's USB rechargeable, and they fold up. You just turn them off. Hold the button, turn them off, and it's as simple as that. So let me see if I can show you the. I think you can probably see inside. Can you see the? That's what I'm looking through. You see the holes in it there. Yeah, that's what I'm actually looking through. So those were cool. Those were 800 NT. 800 NT. So that's let me see. 100 NT is $3. So it's 3 times 8. Yeah, they are pretty cool. Yeah, around $25, right? Can't beat that. And the only downside I could see, of course, they've been out for a while apparently, is it's a USB micro. Everything now is C, and so I have to keep a micro with me. But the the funny thing is, right, is the pedal board that I use live, because I built a new pedal board, and yep, you know, with all my guitar effects and stuff, and because this year I went to basically hybrid. Instead of using a regular amp, I'm using a modeler and a flat response full range amp with the speaker simulation and all that stuff. But my pedal board has both a USB-C and a USB-A port on it, which is cool because I have a charging station for my wireless transmitter for my guitar, and I can charge it in these glasses for my pedal board between sets. So I can see that what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go back to Prism Live Studio for a couple streams to catch everybody up and show you things that I've been working on. But let's talk about this. Dave knows about this. A couple of the you know, the brothers and the sisters that in the late night group, you know, my dear friends and followers know about this. But here's the thing. I'm a year and 1 month away from being. Okay, let me hold right there. Yes, Dave is asking me a question. Any new developments with the barbecue sauce? Oh, I put the top on this. What an idiot. There is. Now, I have to be careful what I say publicly on my YouTube channel about the barbecue sauce, because the developments that are happening with the barbecue sauce are happening due to my personal endeavors to make it happen, and not because the original owner has done anything. So, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, the original owner is missing in action. He's disappeared. And let's just say this. I have put in a considerable financial investment into the sauce. Not not small money, I'm just going to say that. And the sauce recipe was given to me as a security on my investment. And so I consider myself to be the owner of the recipe. And so, yeah, we're changing the name. And I have partnered with a person in the United States who also has a stake in the sauce. Pun intended. And I've been spending the last 2 weeks compiling all the data on how to make it, all the process. And I've been using Google Notebook LM, which is an amazing tool where you upload a bunch of documents and it scans all of them, and then you can ask questions like, how do you do this? And what adjustments should I make for this or that and the other thing? And so what happens is the processes have all been analyzed, and so we now know what they are. There's a hot process and a cold process. And I think, well, I don't know. Anyway, I'm talking with a supplier here to manufacture it. And I'm determined not to let anything stop me if it's, within my power. But it's clear we're going to have to put, some more money into it. And like they say, you can't make money unless you spend money, You got to spend money to make money. And the problem is, I got the hook in pretty deep. So, I don't want to cut the line yet. So, all right, what I was starting to say was, that's a good question, Dave. Thank you for that question. I know I sound like I'm talking to Congress. Thank you for the question, Congresswoman, Congressman. Yeah, it's going to be the same sauce, but a different name. Yeah. Now, I'll tell you what the name is we're tentatively thinking of, and I already registered a domain, and I actually have a placeholder website. There's nothing on it. But what the placeholder website will do is you can leave your contact name and address, and it'll reach me, and then I can let everybody know what's going on by email when it happens. But it's US Barbecue with a Q. So it's interesting because BBQ is how you abbreviate barbecue, but barbecue is normally spelled with a C. You can spell it with a Q. It's not quite as prolific. But here's the thing. I was looking at internet domains, man, and somebody already registered usbbq.com, and they want like, I think it was $9,000 for it. And US barbecue with a C.com is already registered, and they wanted like $1,200 for that. And I own a lot of domains. I'm kind of a domain broker myself, and I'm just not going to do that. So I decided to go with barbecue with a Q. And what we're going to do is on our promotional stuff, we're going to have, US barbecue all spelled out. And then I'm going to have the US, the 2 letters for the US, and then 3 letters for the BBQ come together to try to make people understand that it is not barbecue with a C. Thing of it is, though, is these guys who own US BBQ and US barbecue with a C, there are no websites. Those domains point to no server because they're strictly trying to broker it. I got to check something. I got to make sure that okay, the noise reduction is on. Good. I got to make sure that. Okay, I just did. Noise reduction is on. So none of those domains have websites. So if somebody were to type US barbecue with a C, it wouldn't do anything. But you type US barbecue with a Q, and you get my little placeholder. Okay, there's no site there. But the reason we're doing that is because we're going to start the operations in Taiwan, and that's a very strong name. I actually was asked a couple of months ago by a boss who has a club over there. It was a Filipino-run club, and he owned the building. And he asked me, if I was going to open a place, what would I do? And I said I would change the name to U.S. Barbecue, and I would have a grill, charcoal grill, and have people, I would have staff grilling steaks and chops and ribs and stuff, and I have live music. And he flipped out. He goes, wow, what a brilliant idea. What a fantastic name. I was like, kind of a duh thing for me. So, and again, not to get political, but with the political climate that's going on in the States, if we start it over here and then we go to someone in the current administration in the United States and say that we would like to bring the sauce manufacturing to the States, we'll get assistance to do that. So, and there's nothing wrong with legitimately utilizing services and things that are designed for that purpose. So it's not like we're, going to rip anybody off. Anyway, so that's the deal. So, 2 new YouTube channels. Okay, I have a trailer uploaded to the new one. I've told you guys in the line group about map freaks. I and Rob Kilo are admittedly map freaks, which means we stare at maps. We like reading maps and like looking at maps. And I made a lot of money doing that in the 90s, doing field engineering studies for radio stations, where I would go into a field with a USGS topographical map, a Lensatic military issue compass, and a GPS. And thank you. Thanks, Patty. Thanks, Matthew. Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're finally moving forward. See, the problem with that was there wasn't anything being done in the States. And Dean, I remember Dean, and I went to a lot of trouble to try to publicize it somewhat, my live streams, and I put up a site, Bootsy Barbecue TV, and I just never got, the pushback from the States. I never got, the support and stuff, so I just killed it. And the guy disappeared, so whatever. But I would go into the forest, and sometimes almost a jungle. This is in North America, and I would have to follow a certain line from a point that would be like the transmitter point, and there might be 10 or who knows how many what we call radials, and they go out to like 22 kilometers or 26 kilometers depending. And like every interval so often, I would have to stop and take a measurement and mark where I was on the map and be very accurate about it. And I got really, really good at it. And so I enjoy reading maps, and I know a lot about them. I've had some, some training in that area. And so it's funny because my dad gave me the mission planning map from his B-24 squadron when he was stationed in China. Gave it to me in the 90s. I have it with me in Taiwan. Sam Zhao has it. He's a famous researcher. He just finished a book, and he sent me a book, and he sent me a thumb drive with a bunch of pictures that Rob and I are using for our investigations for map freaks. What we've done is we've created a YouTube channel that's all about the stories that are told about the human stories that are told by maps. You read a map and you go, what is this? And what does this mean? Because things like boundary lines are sticky. They last for millennia. And there are boundary lines, especially in Asian countries where they have the household registration system, and some of these registration systems go back over 1,000 years. And so like in this neighborhood, there are boundary lines where buildings have weird angles and things because, 1,200 years ago, somebody drew a line there and it went on a map and it got, in the record. And so it's interesting because there's a ditch. It's called the Tu Nyo, which means mud ox or mud cow, prefer the term ox. But it's a ditch, and it bisected Taiwan in half for political purposes. If you were on the west side, you were under the protection of the government. If you're on the east side, you were on your own. And there are remnants of this ditch still to this day. But more importantly than that, right over here in downtown Huko, about a 10-minute car drive away, you can walk through the town. You can see it actually in the satellite view of Google Maps. There are sections where the buildings are, you look at them and they're 90 degrees on one side, and then there's like this odd shaped cut on the other side instead of it being square. And the next building, and you can just stand there and just get a sight line and look at it. And it's following where that ditch used to be. And even Rob occasionally teaches at a school not too far away, and he, in his research, found that the oddly shaped plot of land that the school occupies and the wall that surrounds it is on the edge of the ditch. So it even influenced that. And there are places in Taoyuan, which is the next town over, where there are sections of the ditch that are still there. There's still like a gully that you can walk. And so it was never filled in. It's really crazy stuff. But the first episode we're going to call a glitch in the grid. And if you look up it's youtube.com/@mapfreaks, and you'll find it. This is great because I get to stretch my legs in doing music. I know I haven't been live streaming a lot, or hardly at all, but I've been doing a lot of music stuff, and I've been doing a lot of writing and production studio, and I did all the music, the theme song and the incidental music and so forth, the scene changes. It's all my stuff I'm doing in the studio. It's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy that. I sometimes enjoy doing orchestral or film scoring more than I do doing rock songs. It's crazy, I know. But what it is right basically through where I'm sitting now, and over to where my house is, and all the way over to the highway, a Japanese railroad went through here. And they moved it a couple times. The Han Chinese that had come here had built it much earlier, and there was too much of a grade in a couple sections. Rob was telling me sometimes they would have to split the load in two and use two engines. Just trying to go up a hill and just couldn't do it. So the Japanese moved it once, and then they moved it again too. Oh, okay. You're talking about yes, I did. That's right. I did a different version. On my channel, on this channel, The Real Taiwan, just to see what would happen, I put a test trailer on it. And since then, I made some changes. I actually put my face in it, and I put Rob's face in it, and I put a little more titling on it to show what the deal is. But what had happened was, eventually the railroad tracks got replaced by a roadway. And this was, I'm going to say, about 1990. Where I'm sitting right now used to be like swampland and farmland. There wasn't just scrub, And if you go back on Google Maps and look at it, it's pretty bizarre. And Academia Sinica has an app that allows you to overlay maps going back to the 1800s, to the Japanese era. It's pretty amazing. So we have access to all these things, right? And there is a map that shows the railroad track. And if you overlay it, this map of the railroad track, if you overlay it, say on Google Earth or Google Maps, and you line it up, what they had done was, they being the people who built the industrial park, when they decided to turn this kind of swamp area into an industrial park and bring factories in here, they decided to put it on the grid. Now this road over here curves, but the grid is consistent with the curve of the main road. And most of the roads have, they're 90 degrees, right? They're parallel and perpendicular, but they do kind of fan in the curve section. But what I'm saying is It's not like they're skewed. However, there's one piece of road that is skewed. And I mean, I used to drive this and wonder why I did this. Like if you go under the highway, the underpass, on the far side, the south side here of the industrial park, and there is one here, there's one right there, that's straight. This one, you'll be driving down the road and then it hooks like a hard, like 45 degrees. You go, what's going on? You go underneath the underpass from this side and immediately on the other side, it hooks it right back. So the roads are actually lined. It's just that in between there's an odd shape, and that odd angle that's the railroad bed. That's what's left. And you know, for map freaks, this kind of stuff is amazing because it is an insight into what happened. You see, obviously civil engineers, when they're designing neighborhoods, infrastructure, they have to take a lot of things into consideration. They have to take into consideration drainage, you know, grades, things like that. Are they going to put roads in? Are they going to be too steep? Are there sections of lowlands where rainwater will pool and flood? There's a lot to consider, right? And if you already have a graded section, okay, that has, you know, the proper, well, call it a strike, a dip along a strike, the proper dip, they're going to use that. And so it just so happened that that little piece of land, for some reason, that little area, it's about 300 meters long. I measured it. I'm going to shoot a bearing on it and just make sure it lines up with a map and try to actually find where it went through here. Because believe it or not, it goes right behind my house. That's where the track was. So I'm going to try to do an accurate shot with that, and also use the drone and fly from there straight as if as you know, along what we know to be the contour, you know, of the railroad track, and just show that and try to overlay that. So yeah, I spent quite a bit of money on editing software, editing keyboard and stuff to be able to do these kinds of things. But because we're map freaks and we look at that is just so fascinating that this little tiny piece represents something from the Japanese era. You know, it's like, wow. And there's a lot of that around here. We're going to do a story on the Hongmao airfield, and there are two anti-aircraft bunkers that are still there. There are two fire control water towers that are still there, and they're next door to a family temple. And turns out that I actually know some of the families that live in that area, and Rob and I are going to go there and we're going to talk to them and see what we can find out, because a lot of these families have, see, most houses in Taiwan, if they're big enough, they'll have what they call a spirit room. It's where, because ancestor worship is big in the Taoist religion, so it's a place where the family goes to pray to the ancestors and show them respect, and they'll often put like a fruit or drink offering in front of an altar. And in some cases, like the Yimin Temple where I took John Ho years and years ago, you know, in some cases, there are actually temples that belong to a family. Actually, the Liu family, I took Dave there before. Liu family home has their own private temple, and it's basically an archive. So usually there are photographs going back as far as, you know, photography existed. And so what we're hoping that some of these families might actually have some artifacts from the Japanese era. And Rob and I have a theory, and we've been trying to get collaboration, but here's what it comes down to. We're not I don't want to tell you what the theory is because I don't want to give away the episode. We're not able to absolutely confirm our theory. However, it is based on what we know of some particular operations, some flight operations that took place from this airfield. It's very plausible, so we're not able to rule it out. So if you understand what I'm saying, it's more than possible. It's very plausible. However, we don't have any proof. And that's what we're going to look for, because if some of the family has photographs of some of the operations that went on, and I don't know why they wouldn't. There's an airfield in their neighborhood, you know, and in some cases, the Japanese took advantage of the Allied forces' reluctance to bomb civilian targets by putting a military airfield in the middle of a neighborhood. And they put the water towers next to family homes for that very purpose. And that's why they're still standing, because the Allied forces wouldn't bomb them because they don't want to, you know, risk hurting non-combatants. That's not what they do, at least on purpose, is my understanding. So there's a lot going on here. And so the Map Freaks is a, yes, we have. Yes, we actually have. And that's a very good question, Dave. Rob is an amazing researcher. And since he and I started talking about doing a channel, he has done so much more research and discovered so many more things that I'm going to go on a limb and probably say that there isn't anybody in Taiwan or anywhere in the world that knows as much about this Hongma airfield as he does. And so the other thing, though, is that in Jubei, Hsinchu County has an archive. And that's where the gold is. It's an actual library of all this stuff. And so he's been over there a number of times. I haven't been. I want to go over there with him, and I want to take the Pocket 3 and I want to film. I want to get some B-roll of us, you know, not depictions. I want to get some B-roll of us actually looking at some stuff. Because, you know, he and I, well, we discovered a number of things, but we didn't have the camera rolling. And I'm not going to make that mistake again. Even if I just run the 360, because the 360 camera catches everything. But when we were looking at the anti-aircraft bunker, and one of the things that we're going to talk about in the episode is that the anti-aircraft bunker is made out of concrete. The doorway is very, you know, it's very distinct in the way it was cast. And the outside edges are pristine, but the inside edges of the door are all banged up. They got huge spalls knocked out of it because they were trying to get, they're trying to get containers of shells, you know, shell boxes out to the guns, like really fast. And there's a hole in the lintel over the door with some wooden blocks in it. And I have a theory about how they made a beam trolley to convey the shell boxes in and out. And one of the things I want to do is I want to make of course we're going to do this in the spring, in the summer it gets warmer, but I want to make a full-size mock-up of this and see if we can, because the thing is, I did some calculations. I looked at the bunker and I used my my tablet and my Hewlett-Packard, you know, scientific. I did some calculations based on some measurements that I took about how what the mechanism probably looked like in all likelihood, based on length and the height inside and the weight of approximately, you know, we took a guess based on historical documents of the size of the guns. We know the size of the guns, so the size of the shells, how many, you know. So I did a bunch of calculations, and I figured that the shells would be a certain number of centimeters off the height, you know, off the floor of the bunker, And sure enough, I went back after I was done and measured, and where the chunks are taken out of the doorways, like measures, like right exactly in my measurements in the center of that. So I think I think I figured it out. I think I have a pretty good idea of how they got them in and out of there. So, but we like that kind of stuff. And there are so many things to look at. And Sam's friend made a book on Taiwan airports, and it lists every airport that's ever existed since the beginning of aviation in Taiwan, and it is fantastic. It has all of these World War II Japanese airfields. And the holy grail, of course, is we are absolutely certain that hiding in these rugged mountains in places that are completely inaccessible and nobody could ever really realistically get up there without, excuse me, carefully planning an expedition. I mean, a for real expedition, like I'm probably too old to go up there expedition, but there has to be some downed aircraft from World War II hiding in our forests. Because all, you know, they're in Borneo, there's, you know, I mean, you look at like Palau and Saipan and Truk, I mean, this stuff's all over the place, right? Philippines, and, you know, there's some wreck stuff in Taiwan too, but, you know, and my friend Tony, you guys remember Tony, that's the gentleman that was with me in the John Ho interview back in the early days of Periscope. Tony told me a story years ago about when his father was a kid. He saw an Allied fighter plane shoot down a Mitsubishi Zero, and it splashed in the beach right off of Hukou here in Shinpeng. So yeah, problem is, you know, unless you're going to do a Clive Cussler and want to drop about $500,000 and do an expensive, you know, LiDAR or ground penetrating radar scan, of course, something that long ago, it's going to be, gosh, it's going to be, you know, 20 meters underneath the seafloor by now. But yeah, you could probably find it. Or you can find, who knows what you can find. There's a bunch of stuff out there. But yeah, so we're not so much gonna do relic hunting and that kind of stuff, but it's more a sleuthing with maps and to tell you why this row of buildings is here and the story behind it. And it's all about the storytelling, you know, that's the thing. So. But before I go any further, I just want to thank everybody for, you know, listening to me ramble, because I do want to tell you something else. I did start another channel. You know, when I came back from the States, I put on 8 kilograms, and I don't know, I think it's a ridiculous thing to assert, but I felt like there was something in the food in the United States that made me gain weight, and when I came back, I lost my willpower. I just seemed to be like, I'm craving carbohydrates, and I don't know why, because as many of you know, I've been fasting for a long time, and I kicked that. I kept 10 kilograms off. It's 22 pounds. I kept that off of me for 3 years. I'm heavy again. I'm back up to 120. When I started the whole mess with the intermittent fasting to lose weight, I was 125. I went down to 115. My goal is to get to 100, but the only way that I'm going to do it is to put it out there and commit myself to it and have people call me out on it when I'm not doing it. So I decided, because here's the deal, I am 1 year and 1 month away from being 70 years old. So a year and a month from now, a little less, I'm going to be 70, and I want to so Matthew says he believes there's something in the food. I don't know what it is, but I just know that I took my supplements every day. I mean, I drank some whiskeys, flavored whiskeys that I know had some sugar in it, but I tried to avoid, you know, overly stuff. I mean, like my family would go to the Waffle House. They would get, you know, a stack of waffles, a stack of pancakes, because it was something interesting and new for them. But what I did was, like, I would get steak and eggs, you know, so we're talking, you know, protein and no carbs. Still packed it on. It was crazy. I started a new channel called Jacked at 70. It's honor of my friend Ben Fernandez, who I asked him, "What's your fitness goals, Ben?" And he said, "To get as jacked as I can possibly get." I was like, wow. So this guy warms up with as much weight as my weight machine at home is capable of handling at maximum. But I got a gym membership, and I was on track, and then I got this cyst, which took me out of commission for 6 weeks because I can't put any pressure on it. And you know, I'm trying to do these on the machines and things, and my back up against it, it was hurting. The doctor told me don't do it because it might pop. If it pops, it'll cause problems. And I didn't even touch anything, and it started leaking by itself just because it was full. It was terrible. You know, I don't want to describe it. So I did my first video. I'm wearing like a V-necked undershirt. I'm wearing a thin jacket. I didn't shave, I didn't comb my hair. I didn't care. This is jacked at 70 is what you see is what you get. I put myself out there, you know. You can see how big my gut is and whatnot, but you can also see I do have some upper body development. Basically, I just need to lose the weight and work on some tone. But if I can get down to 100, which is not impossible, it's going to take a while, and I don't want to do it like really quick. I don't want to do it in a couple of weeks by doing something crazy. I want to take a few months and crank it down slowly and then keep it. But if you go to youtube.com at jacked AT70, you'll find it. And there's one video, it's a channel introduction, it's like 4.5 minutes long, where I just put myself out there and I talk about the fact that it's all about credibility and accountability. And I explain how, for example, if you're trying to stop a bad habit, oh, it's a fly. Some kind of bad habit, doesn't matter what it is, something, it could be smoking, could be eating something, you know, could be some, who knows, whatever. And I'm obviously a man, so I'm coming from this perspective. I'll call one of the men that I know, and I'll ask him, can you make a note to call me tomorrow? Call me tomorrow like at noon and ask me how I'm doing. And most of the time they won't even ask why. They get it. Okay. So I hang up, and the rest of the day I know that this guy is going to call me tomorrow. He's going to ask me, how's it going? And I got to tell him, it's going good or not so good. So having that kind of accountability, I think, is really, really, really important if you want to accomplish something. And that's part of the reason that I wanted to do Jacked at 70. Now, I just started working on it this week, and I've already got 3 video clips. I got 1 on the channel. I was going to subtitle it. It's just, no. But I got to edit the other 2 and talk about, you know, what's going on with me. And one of the things I talk about is motivation. How do you get the motivation to do something drastic, you know, and fast and go to the gym and change how you look? I'll tell you what I did. I'll tell you on my channel. So Jacked at 70. So here's what I'm going to do in the chat. Assume that this is youtube.com. This is it. Oops. Okay. That's it. And I'm using MJ Klein. And the second, the Map Freaks is just simple this. Actually, I don't think it makes a difference. But Map Freaks, when YouTube showed me the shortcut, right? It was actually capitalized, just like that. So it's in the live stream, and later on I'll go back and I'll edit this, you know, for the description. I'll put it in there. But just remember, man, jacked at 70. You know, I know a lot of people are going to be rooting for me, but I'm putting myself out there, man. It's like the real me, more than I've ever done before. And most people who like are in the music business or have any kind of a professional career, like, you know, even on the small level that I've done compared to big stars, they don't do that. Nobody does that. But I'm going to do it because I want to be at the end of it. See, people look at my channel and they see me super fat at the beginning, but then they see me that I've lost the weight at the end. It's okay with me. It's worth it. Remember Brunty? He had a blog about living in Isan in Thailand, and he actually took a picture of himself, no shirt, standing in front of the door, big gut, you know, and he said, I'm going to get rid of this, and he started running. He ended up running a couple marathons, so forth, and he lost it, lost the weight. It was fantastic watching. It was great, and everybody, you know, was saying, hey man, go for it. And that was his regular like blog. That wasn't like a separate one. So we don't blog anymore. We live stream. Oh boy, yeah. Remember about the ankle. That's the problem, see? And this is why it really is terrible. And this is why, you know, the older we get, and this is what I was saying about how when I came back from the States, I kind of lost my momentum. That's what happened to you, Matthew. Waiting for that break to heal, you know. It sucks the life out of you. See, I realized I've been sitting. I've been watching TV at night, but I've been in my studio. I noticed when I started putting weight on is when I got my digital recorder and started, you know, using it. And because I have upstairs, I also have exercise equipment. And when I got the exercise equipment, I was diligent about using it 3 times a week. And then I started getting the studio, I got the studio equipment, I was acquiring more studio equipment, and then pretty soon I wasn't working out anymore. I have the exercise equipment in my house. What I really want to do is move my universal machine to the 3rd floor, so it's in my bedroom. Wow. Do you have to use a cane for support, or are you able to walk without assistance? But still, man, I mean, yeah. And the problem is that the muscles atrophy. Gosh, I hate that, especially the ankle. Sometimes my ankle feels weak, you know, and I'll, you know, like I'm on a ice skate or something. But yeah, the problem is you lose the momentum. And this is why for older people, you know, we hate to say it, but like when grandma or, you know, mother or father, they fall and they break a hip, it's usually a death sentence because the recovery time is so long. By the time the bone heals to where they can get back up on their feet, they don't have any more muscle tone. They can't, you know. So yeah, anyway, at least for me, I'll be 69 soon. Okay, up too long, yeah. You know, I got bone spurs, man, and I went to the orthopedic, and he took an X-ray, and I got a nasty bone spur in my left foot. Gosh, it looks like a knife blade, you know. And I said, well, what can you do? He says, nothing. I said, well, you can't can't take it off. He goes, it's not practically. I said, look, this is, I mean, speaking mechanical engineering, if this was just something that wasn't biological, I would cut the exterior out, open it up, and I'd take a chisel and I would just, you know, or I'd take a grinding wheel, I'd grind it down. Why can't you do that? And he just laughed. I was like, okay, that hurts. Most mornings I wake up, I limp. You guys probably never seen me limp, but I often limp for the first half an hour that I'm up until the bone spur has poked in the meat in my heel enough that it makes it numb, and then I'm okay. But when I was in Taipei a couple of weeks ago with my family, I went to a foot massage place, and it's been so long since I had done that. And I wish I'd done it sooner. I wish I'd been doing that more often. And David took me last Sunday to another foot massage place over here. I'm gonna start going to that place, maybe once every week or 2 weeks, because this guy did a number on my calf muscles, which I have been walking a lot more. And when I was walking around in Taipei, I put like 11,000 steps on, then I went to Kaohsiung and did the same thing. But man, after like it for me to wake up in the morning and get out of bed, put my feet on the floor and stand up after walking 12,000 steps the day before, my muscles were so sore that I actually was leaning up against the wall, facing it this way and stretching my legs out behind me and keeping my heel on the floor to try to, you know what I'm talking about. Stretch those hamstrings and the calf muscles. But when I went to the massage place, oh, first one was a lady, and it's like she ripped my muscles out and fixed them and put them back in. She was so good. I got up and was like, wow, no pain. And I went for another 11,000 steps. So that kind of stuff helps a lot. So I'm going to be talking about that, because in my neighborhood, there's several Thai places that do massage. And there's one Thai place that when I had pain in my lower back, because I do have a blown disc L5S1, I had some severe lower back pain, and I went there. There's a lady from Isan. She's an older lady, and I said, I just want you to work on my lower back. She said, okay, and I laid down on the table, and she jumped up on top, and I didn't notice this, but there's bars on the ceiling. They're handles, and she was holding on to the handle, and she was walking on my back and digging in with her heels with her body weight. Oh man. I walked out of there like a new man. So I'm going to be doing this more and talking about this more on the Jacked channel, because I think older men need to hear this, you know, and I'm in that category. I do want to talk about, you know, things like shaving, because a lot of us don't like to shave. I got the Panasonic shaver and I really like it, but for 2.5 weeks, I didn't shave. I just let it grow. And then I decided I was going to shave here in my cheeks and a line, you know, just to make a demarcation, and then down just for the beard, right? And I took a really, really hard look at the beard that was coming in. So I used to have a beard. And when I met my wife, I had a beard. I had a beard when I left the States. And I had a beard for, you know, quite a while. I have a lot of experience, you know, having a beard and grooming it. I just don't like how it looks on me anymore. It makes me look older than my age. And it's not a matter of vanity. It's just a matter of, I don't want my wife to have to look at me that way and walk around with a guy that looks even older than what, you know, I am. Same with my daughter, and, you know, I just think that's a better presentation. And when I lose weight, you know, I kind of just want to maintain the look I got now, you know. But I do have a scruff sometimes, like right now, but it's white, can't really tell. It's all, you know, it's gray. But that's basically everything that's going on. And I'm staying on the politics. But let me just say this, because people are so politically charged now, and it doesn't matter what side of the aisle that you're on. May I offer some insight from someone who is not partisan, I don't take sides, and I don't support anyone. And the problem is it used to be one thing to not support somebody, but nowadays it seems like if you're not openly condemning someone, then that's misconstrued as support. So for example, the person who's in office now has referred to several of the leaders of the world as being very smart and being smart enough to have control over their populations and so forth. Calling somebody smart is not supporting them. Calling somebody smart is not advocating for them or praising them. It is assessing them. And a smart leader assesses the people he's dealing with, especially if they had to negotiate. The second thing you need to understand is that the person who's in charge now is not a politician. They are a billionaire. Twice, because he lost all of his money and then made it again. This person is smarter than you know because he purposely acts a certain way. And he says outrageous stuff because that's how you find out if your opponent's mouth goes dry. You drop stuff. You drop bombs. Meanwhile, the State Department has changed the definition of its interaction with Taiwan, and it removed the line that says that the United States does not support Taiwan independence. I want you to think about that, because everybody in Taiwan is all up in an uproar. They're saying that the United States does not support Ukraine now, so they're withdrawing support for Taiwan, and the two have nothing to do with each other. The third thing I want you to understand is only about 20% of what we imagine happens. Think about that. We lay awake at night and we think about every possible negative, terrible scenario that can happen. And 20% of it or less actually does happen. Don't worry about it. Things are going to proceed the way they're supposed to proceed. And my suggestion is that you not concern yourself with what might happen because of that. Get yourself all in an uproar about things that might happen. I've heard this week, I've heard the United States is having a technocratic takeover. What does that mean? I don't know. I don't see it. And the erosion of democracy. I don't know. I don't see it. So just because things didn't go your way in a particular election doesn't mean that the end of the world's coming. Remember, Chicken Little, yeah, it's a story, but it proves a point. And there's a lot of Chicken Littles out there and a lot of sky is falling rhetoric, and it's not falling. So that's all I want to say, and I'm not being political, but I'm just telling you, I'm giving you some insight because it's a lot more peaceful when you stop caring about things that don't actually involve you. That's how I feel. Things that don't involve me, I try not to get upset about them. And yeah. Because if they don't involve me, I have no control over them anyway. That's how I've always, And for the longest time, I didn't even look at news. And people would ask me why. I said, well, because if it affects me, I already know about it. So it is starting to rain. It's sprinkling. I got sprinkles coming down on my LED glasses. I'm going to put them back in this silk bag. And I have this Pocket 3 that I better take out of the rain because it is not waterproof. So. Catastrophizing, yeah, that's a great word, Dave. Excellent. That's exactly what it is. But even so, here's the thing. Every emergency that's ever happened, I taught my daughter this. My daughter, when we went tubing, she fell out of the tube and she was hanging like this with her head above the water. And we're trying to pull her up and she couldn't come up because just the current. And I just said to her, remain calm. She's like, oh, okay, Papa. I said, seriously, just remain calm. You know how to swim, let go, just go under the water, pop up, and swim towards me. You're gonna be swimming with the current. And she went, okay. And she dropped down, the tube went, she popped up and swam and easily overtook us because she's swimming with the current. And I said, see, when you panic, you make bad decisions. You know, flight or fight is real, but when it's time for that to happen, it happens automatically. But don't intellectualize things overly to the point where you're either paralyzed with fear or you draw the wrong conclusions about things. Because I know right now, the number one thing that people have been saying to me, and I've been hearing, is about, you know, he's taking sides with so-and-so against so-and-so, and he's throwing so-and-so under the bus. When you're unbiased, you remember things differently, and that whole Russiagate stuff started with a phone call to that very person that they claim is thrown under the bus. A lot of it has to do with relationships that existed before this person was in office. And that's none of us, we do not possess all of the facts. We only know what we've been told. And you're never going to know the whole thing. So my advice is, keep out of it. I know for me, I got a 12-year-old daughter. 12-year-old daughter is a lot. And you mothers and you fathers know what I'm talking about. The next 3 or 4 years are going to be, I got to focus on her. Seems like people have far too much time on their hands, armchair quarterbacking diplomacy and foreign policy. And yet they're, you know, English teachers and who knows what else. And it's not really their purview, you know. I'm an engineer, not a politician. Don't want to be a politician, so. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for joining and putting up with my opinions. I'm not lecturing you. I'm just telling you what I think and what I do. And I'm just making some broad suggestions. And in this climate, one does have to be careful what they say because they will instantly be pigeonholed and marginalized by at least 50% of the population because it's like, it's very, very divided. And it's terrible. I hate it. I've seen so many friendships destroyed, families destroyed, family members aren't talking to each other over the way they voted. And some of the things that I'm hearing, like on these crazy short format vertical portrait videos, is that the premises, thank you so much, Dave, the premise on a lot of the things is wrong. You'll hear a statement like, now that somebody's in office that wants me dead, and then they go on to say something that's just ridiculous. You know, now that I'm about to lose my freedom, you know, this, but there will never be an apology when none of those things happen. So even in my family, there are some people that are afraid that somehow or another they're going to be marginalized or even killed. It's insane. It's insane. So anyway, thanks, Dave, and thank you for reminding me that it was so late. David and I will probably be at the East Gate. It's a really amazing market. It's like a night market. It's permanent. We're going to be there next weekend, and I'll have the Pocket 3 charged up. I'm going to skip playing next weekend or this coming weekend at Zhongli. I'm going to skip that, and Dave and I will go to we'll go over there and we'll eat, and then we had some amazing food, and we'll just stream that, he and I. And he and I, we talk in English, we talk in Chinese back and forth, so we can translate stuff. It's pretty cool. And last time I was there, I brought Rosaline, my new red special guitar, and played it because it was nice and warm that evening. So maybe if the weather's okay, we can do that again. But I got to get out here. It's starting to sprinkle. You guys take care. Thank you so much. And thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. I love all you guys, and thank you so much. Thank you for supporting Map Freaks and Jacked at 70, not by 70, because while the goal is to be jacked by 70, I don't want to quit. You see what I'm saying? It's gonna at 70, I'm gonna be jacked. But yeah, maybe 75, maybe 80, maybe 90. Yeah, that should be the goal. So, guys, take care. I need to shut down and close this down before we. Yeah, I got to go back to the app. Okay, let me navigate this, and I'll say have a great evening, great morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And we're going to press the button now and end this live stream. Thank you so much, and thank you for watching The Real Time One. Good night. 再见，晚安。